And that's even when people talk about scheduling sex, I don't like that language because it insinuates calendars and representatives and assistants. What we're talking about is intention setting, where I wake up in the day and I'm like, I cannot let this day finish without having your body.
Hello, hello. This is Brooke Devard, and you're listening to the Naked Beauty Podcast. And if you're joining us here on YouTube, you are watching the Naked Beauty Podcast. I'm so excited about my guest, Shan Boodram, someone I have followed for years and years and years. I'm going to give you a little bit about her background.
Woo!
Yes, so happy to have you here. A pioneering voice who has redefined how we understand love, desire, and sex in the digital age. But she also has the certifications to prove that she knows what she's talking about. A certified sex educator, a board-certified sexologist, and a holder of an MS in psychology. Shan has spent 2 decades at the forefront of intimacy education, spanning mainstream media and academic platforms alike. Shan is the best-selling author of The Game of Desire and Laid, with a 3rd book currently in development. She has been featured on The Today Show, Good Morning America, The View, Armchair Expert, now here on Naked Beauty. Thank you so much, Shan, for joining. I'm
Oh my
so
gosh.
excited. I've admired your work for so long, so this is like long overdue. And I can't wait to get into your backstory, beauty, sex, intimacy, how we feel about ourselves. I feel like plays such a big role in our intimate relationships and our relationship with ourselves. So we're going to go to the beginning. You grew up.
I just want to say too, because even when
Please.
I was reading the questions, I very rarely talk about myself on podcasts.
Well,
Because I'm mostly just offering tips or hacks or perspectives. So
Sure.
I was like, nobody cares about me, Brooke.
yeah. Well,
People want to know 7 ways to orgasm.
No,
Squirt immediately.
we care about you because your experience is what gives you the perspective to talk about all of these things. So I want to start with the beginning. You grew up in your parents are Caribbean, but you grew up in Canada.
Yes.
Did you feel beautiful growing up?
There's like a yes and a no to this because I have audacity. I've had audacity my whole life.
Okay.
I still have it. I don't know where that came from, but there is some type of unsubstantiated belief that I have in myself that has just existed forever. So it's like I've always maybe felt, even now, I feel beautiful. I feel very smart. I feel very capable. But when I was growing up, within my family, my mom is half black, half white. My dad is Indo-Caribbean. And my mom's dad, who's the white one, left when she was born. So my family is Indian and black. And so I was the lightest person in my family. So I was constantly teased for that growing up, which is fine. It's cousin talk. My cousins also, drew penises on my face with permanent marker. I had that kind of relationship with my family where we were just together all the time. And so no. And then when I went to school, my parents are immigrants, and most immigrants enter into the medical field. So my dad is a paramedic. My mom was a nurse, which meant that we were like very stably middle class. We moved to a suburb of Toronto. We were like new development, one of the first there. And so when you move as a brown family into a suburb into territory, you're often one of the first to do it.
And I'm assuming it was a predominantly white suburb.
All white.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah. So no, I was not attractive at all until high school. I was not like looked at as attractive, but there was something in myself that felt like they were just wrong. They wrong.
Did you learn anything from your family and their beauty cultures that influenced the way that you took care of yourself?
I wish I had a great answer for this, but kind of again, no. Like it's just my mom never really embraced her hair. She was somebody who always permed and relaxed, and so I was perming and relaxing when I was younger. When I was in elementary school, I used to shave my hairline because it was too frizzy, and I wasn't able to get that sleek look that others got. Wow. And at one point, I separated my hair in 2, and I cut out the entire middle section to try to get thinner hair. And it's like my mom was there with me on this journey in some cases, but I don't think she really knew either.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. People now take it so for granted that you can go on YouTube and get like these tutorials. Like we were really in the dark. In like the early 2000s, there was there were a few blogs. I remember there was a blog called Black Girl Long Hair. There was Curly Nikki.
There were magazines.
Yeah. But still, even the magazines weren't, like the natural hair movement and embracing different hair textures and types and products, that came much later.
Yeah. And then, like I said, like for the older generation, like maybe never at all. I've never seen my mom's natural texture my entire life. Never. And I don't know if she'll ever get to that point. I've seen pictures from when she was younger, but she had some similarly scarring experiences when she was younger and never really came around. So I have 2 daughters now who have hair like mine. So it's very important for me to educate them. It's very important for me to empower them. It's very important for me to have representation of dolls and people who look like them and to have that conversation. But I acknowledge why that wasn't accessible for my mom at the time.
Now, speaking of high school and early experiences, I know that I think you said it's like up until you were 19, you had all bad sexual experiences, meaning like your first forays into intimacy were not positive. What did those early experiences that weren't great teach you about yourself?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like a long-standing, multi-generational bad joke or bonding moment between all of us because most people didn't have great sex ed and then as a result didn't have great sexual experiences.
Right.
And they had very misguided beliefs, leading into their foray into this space that should be sacred, that should be pleasurable, but is often everything but that. So for me at 19 is when I hit the pause button and I was like, irks, something is off here. Either the school system, my parents, priests were right. This is a very dangerous part of myself that I shouldn't engage with. And if I do, God will punish me, or I have bad information. So I wouldn't even say necessarily started having great sex at 19, but that was the moment where I was like, oh, I can't continue on this way because I was trying to hold the dichotomies of trying to appear very pure and non-active to all the adults in my life, and then trying to appease all of my peers and then also respond to my body. And then through the influences of TVs and movies, like huge influence on my sex life growing up were novels. Like
Oh, really? Well,
Fly Girl,
okay.
Coldest Winter Ever, anything Eric Jerome Dickey. Connie Briscoe had a book that's called Big Girls Don't Cry, and there was so much conversation there around vaginal orgasms and so that was just something that I was like heavily seeking, not understanding my anatomy, that 2/3 of women that probably won't be the way that they achieve orgasm. That shouldn't be the way that their pleasure is prioritized. So it was just kind of like, I could tell the story very fast, but we've all been there before of, well, for me, I think what's unique is very young, I was very interested in the human body. And I don't think that came from any place of trauma. It just naturally, some people like the piano. I liked
You're interested in
bodies.
Right.
I liked love. I was addicted to soap operas by like age 7. Very early on, I was exploring with friends in a way that I got in trouble for because one of my friends was like, me and Shan last night were exploring with our pillows. And my mom was like, how could you? But again, even like that, like when I went to school for sexology, I did this age by age normal sexual development. And I say normal, I just mean average, right? Average sexual development. And I read that and I was like, wow, a lot of the things that I felt fast for or broken for or wrong for were actually right in line with just the way that we develop.
How early does that happen?
Well, you're born sexual, you'll die sexual. So you can explore, there's genital exploration in utero. So that's not goal motivated exploration or masturbation doesn't happen until around preteens, like 10 to 12 years old. But prior to that, it's very normal for a 3-year-old to just be sitting there self-soothing that way. It's very normal for a 5-year-old to be humping a laundry basket. Or your first deep crush can happen as early as 5 years old.
Wow.
Like this understanding of attraction, who you're attracted to. And so all of these things, I think, happen a little bit before societally we're told. And we're often told that there's development, like you learn to walk, grow, do math, and then sexual development happens later.
Right.
But these things are happening in tandem all of the time. And they will continue to happen, even at our big old age, which I'll say myself, my big old age, at postpartum, I'm still developing, I'm still growing, my body is still changing.
Right.
So that conversation is important to start as early as possible. But too often, especially in my generation, it didn't happen until you were 18 years old.
If that. Some people still haven't had the sex talk with their parents.
Right, yeah.
At their age. Now, what made you think, okay, I actually need to have a career in this field. I actually want to educate myself and then teach others.
Yeah, I think it's such a good question. I love asking people the same too, so I'd love if you responded. But for me, I turned 19. I had this pause, this aha moment. And then through my own gumption, I got a library card. And I was like, I need to know what's actually happening with my own body. I need to know what's what. And once I started learning, I was like, wow, this is fascinating information. This is life-changing information. But goddamn, this stuff is boring. Like, it's so dry, monotonous, faceless. Like coming from reading Eric Jerome Dickey to reading scholastic textbooks, there was such a huge disparity. And I could understand why these things wouldn't have come my way, right? So I made it my mission at that point to make sex ed sexy. It's like sex ed should be just as interesting as those novels I read. They should be just as enthralling as the TV shows that I watch. They should be just as juicy as the stories I used to make up and tell my friends. Why can't I tell the truth and it be just as engaging, just as exciting and inspiring? So that was like my thought of coming into this space at 19, and here I am 21 years later, and I actually think that my mission hasn't changed at all.
Wow. Yeah, and you do such a great job of making it entertaining. And you're the first guest I've had that's really a sex expert, so I'm excited to really get into it. We're going to talk about...
but tell the story of how you came to know what you wanted to do with your life.
Oh my gosh. Well, for podcasting, I just loved listening to podcasts. I listened to so many podcasts, but I started this podcast in 2016. So it's been 10 years of doing Naked Beauty.
Oh my gosh,
congratulations. Thank you. But at the time, I couldn't find women talking about beauty and self-expression and wellness and coming into themselves. All of the podcasts I found with women were either about dating or they were about career. That was the Girl Boss Time, 2016. And I was like, where's that like in between where we're just figuring out and we're talking about beauty and we're talking about how we adorn ourselves and take care of ourselves. So I was like, let me just start the show that I want to hear.
Yes.
That's always it, right? You create the thing that you can't find. You can't find it, so you're like, I'm meant to do
this.
It.
Yes. Yeah. It's like when you go to a town, you're like, okay, cool. There's a butcher, there's a baker, there's a candlestick maker. Oh, you guys don't have a carpenter?
Right.
That's just really, I think, truly the way I got started is I went to journalism school and they say, write what you know. And people in the class were like, I know politics. And I'd be like, yeah, true. Len knows politics. And then Bill would be like, I know sports. I'm like, okay, I'm a sportscaster. I'm like, yeah, well, this guy knows sports more than me. Or someone else say, I love Britney Spears entertainment. And so I'm looking around at people with all their niches. And I was like, what do I know better than anybody else here? I was like, I think I know fucking. So I think that's the thing I should be talking about. So exactly what you said. You kind of look around and you know what's missing. And then you see other people who are living in their purpose and in their passion and their walk, and you really ask yourself, do I hold the fire as strongly as that person does for that particular thing? And if the answer is no, you got to look inside to say, okay, well, what lights me up?
Yes, so important. So I want to talk about masturbation and self-pleasure.
Yay!
Because I feel like that's a great starting point. So how important do you think it is for people to understand their own bodies before they bring a partner into the picture?
It can be very important. Otherwise, you're just hoping that you find a partner who is not only somebody who's knowledgeable, but someone who's also curious. And that combination can be tricky to find. I'm hoping it's easier now. Don't get me wrong. It's kind of the question of like, do you need to love yourself before somebody else does? Truth of the matter is, if you don't know how to love yourself, that makes you more susceptible to counterfeits because you don't know what it actually feels like to be loved. So I can tell you that this is what love is. And you're like, I guess.
Right.
I have nothing to compare it to. I have no point of reference. So
did you have any early relationships before you felt like you truly loved yourself where you did feel like you became a victim of that?
Ooh, this is the thing. Even to that point, I don't actually think I really loved myself until I met my husband or understood what self-love was. I think prior to that, self-love was about self-congratulation or about fulfillment. Like I have a goal, I meet the goal, and then I congratulate myself for that goal. I do something good, and then I feel good about myself. And it really wasn't until I met my husband who just offered this unconditional positive regard and this unconditional love and this patience that I didn't have with myself, that I was like, oh. And it made me feel really ashamed, actually, because I was like, damn, I'm pretty embarrassed that love had to teach me how to love myself. I kind of wished, because I'm such a feminist, I'm such a go-getter, I'm such a path paper, I'm an independent woman, all the things. Like, I wish that I had this for myself. But some things you're just not going to really know until you experience with somebody else. And reciprocal, we're social animals, so it makes sense for us to learn about ourselves and become actualized through connections. But it does definitely help you, because you're not always going to run into the right person. And I didn't. There were a lot of people, because I didn't know how to love myself, who told me, just before my husband, I was in a long-term relationship where he would constantly say things to me like, nobody else is going to love you. No one else is going to put up with you. Like, you're not good at love. You're not good at relationships. And because I didn't have that answer key for myself, I was just accepting his. So if you can, put in the time and work, and I hope that my work provides a pathway for people to do that. Also, I know great sites like omgyes.com is an amazing guide to help women figure out what they like in their body, and it provides them language to describe what they like so they can communicate that to somebody else. if you can do that for yourself, definitely do that. But it doesn't mean that you may not stumble upon somebody who can help you in that process.
So now on the physical side, what did early explorations with self-pleasure help you understand by the time that a partner came into the picture to communicate?
I have a very disjointed, as you get old, your memory gets foggy, but I was masturbating from like 12 years old, like very successfully. I remember I figured it out at my grandma's house. She had these bathtubs with these jets in them, and then I used the jets and I was like, got it. And then I started using my fingers manually and I was like, oh, it's on. And then it became a very regular part of my life. But interestingly, even though I knew that, when I actually started having sex at age 16, so 4 years later, I was still feeling like I was broken, and I would still say things like, I don't know how to orgasm, because I was not orgasming through penetration or the specific way that I saw modeled in the books, the porns, etc. So as much as my own knowledge of my body was there, without that confidence and empowerment and that knowingness that I wasn't broken, or an idea of a hierarchy of pleasure. Well, if you're not experiencing pleasure this way, it doesn't really count. Which I always liken that to say for people with penises, like, there's nobody who's like, oh, bro, you can't orgasm through your prostate. You suck. You're broken. You're not doing it right. Like, no, we acknowledge that the penis is the primary way that you're going to achieve orgasm. So that's your way. If you have other ways too, great. But if not, no one's looking at you like you're not doing the sex. But we do that to women. Less now. I think that we've become much more clitorate as time has gone on.
I love that term, clitorate. Okay, I'm following.
We've definitely become much more clitorate as time has gone on. But yeah, back in my day, as much as I knew how to orgasm and did consistently orgasm, that did not actually apply to my sex life. I didn't have that connective tissue that made that work for me.
And it's very common. Like you said 2/3 of women cannot have an orgasm from penetration.
Yeah.
So that's very common.
And it's like, there's like ways around even that stat too, because that can be muddy. Because many people who do orgasm from penetration alone without outer clitoral stimulation, like through a finger or through a vibrator, prefer to orgasm while being on top. And so while they're on top, they'll lean forward and grind back and forth against their partner, which is providing both inner stimulation, which is very pleasurable, and also sufficient outer stimulation.
External.
But you're calling that, non-clitoral orgasm, but like it is.
We're right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Just like most people who, people with penises or men, they're going to, if they do receive prostate orgasms, it's going to be in conjunction with, like the rusty trombone, where you're playing with the...
Yeah, tell me.
Well, it's because you're playing with the butt. You're doing head in the front, and you're playing with the butt at the back, right? So you're playing the rusty trombone there.
I hope people aren't listening with kids. We're getting a little NSFW. No, and this is the time to do it. Now, Shan, you probably get sent so many sex toys and devices. And what are your favorites for self-pleasure?
Going to be
your personal favorites.
Yes, my personal favorites is water.
Okay.
Like a shower head.
You're just you're not here
going
for all
back
of
to
the
my
gadgets.
roots with the jets in my grandma's bathtub. Like, if that's actually my favorite, but that's just a body thing. It's not like a commentary on what works better. I get sent a lot of sex toys. My favorite toys are more accessories. Like, I love rope. I love shibari ropes for play. I like blindfolds. I like floggers. I like things to tease. We like a lot of bodily play. Like, my partner really likes nipple play, but we don't have a toy for that. I think toys help to set the scene and provide context, but by and large, we're more, manual focused when it comes to like getting there.
Now, ropes, shibari play, that's very advanced. That's like senior level.
Definitely not senior. Listen.
Yeah, because give me a starting point.
Yeah, you know what's so interesting about this? Because I exist kind of in this middle ground world of like, I'm at the edge of societal comfort, but I'm at the very entry point of actual kink.
Yeah.
Like, anybody who's really kinky is very bored with me instantly. So it's always nice sometimes to talk to people who are like, wow, that feels advanced. Because I'm like, I think so too. Rope play, entry point for that is just handcuffs.
Handcuffs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything that offers restraint, that leans into power play. Doesn't even have to be an actual cuff. It could be a tie that you tie around each other. Household items that just provide a little bit of friction, of intensity, or some type of sensory deprivation that heightens other senses in your body.
Yes. Okay.
What's your favorite toy?
I say I'm not into toys. But maybe I thought maybe you're going to put me onto one, and maybe I haven't tried the right thing, but it's not really for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I side with you again because I'm not much into vibrating toys per se, but
It just feels like a lot. It's like overstimulating, I think, for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then say maybe like something that takes away stimulation from
Like
you.
a
There's
blindfold.
toys that
Oh.
could provide less,
Oh.
and so that
Okay.
you can focus on the specific things.
Okay.
And also, if you're doing the 5, 6, 7, 8, which you're doing very well, kids are evidence of that, and it's working for you, there's no need to feel like you have to spice it up because Shan said so.
Right. Right. Well, for people that are listening that are having a hard time reconnecting with their bodies and they want to kind of reinvigorate that intimacy, even with themselves, what would you recommend? It's a good starting point.
I think follow your own natural curiosity, even just how we had this very short conversation here, where you're like, I find all of that stuff too stimulating. So then maybe for you, I'd be like, let's try a pinwheel. Let's try a low drip candle wax, a low heat drip candle. Let's try a blindfold. Let's try stones that you can heat up. And then we can use that alongside of like some massage tools or like a massage candle. So it's following your own curiosity. Maybe you're somebody who's like, I love to be controlled and consumed. Okay, we'll go a different angle. There's actually a company that I am part owner of that's called Aria. And I really love it for this particular reason. So in essence, like cooking, you know how you're like, I just don't have the energy to like think of something new to cook every day.
Yeah.
So food kits help you do that. You can still cook, but they provide for you like, what do you like?
Right.
Okay, try this recipe. Here are all the ingredients and here's a step by step. So Aria is kind of like that for sex. So you say what you're into, what you're not into, what you're curious about, and then they provide a scene, which is a guided experience, and they provide you with education plus an ability to text this concierge, and then you get a box with all the items inside. So even just now, I described a few scenes. Maybe a massage scene is better for you. Maybe something around senses or sensory deprivation is better for you. I probably shouldn't send you the nipple clamp scene. We probably shouldn't
Yeah.
start there.
And I think one of the other reasons I'm asking for people listening or watching us, just for yourself, so you have no partner involved. I find that as a working mom, I can get so disconnected from my body because I have so
Yes.
much on my to-do list, and I'm just like rushing through life. Sometimes I find I'm clenching my jaw, I'm holding my breath, and I'm like, literally just exhale and breathe and unclench your jaw and like relax your shoulders. And sometimes it is as simple as taking a 10-minute hot shower. This is what I do. I put on a candle, I lower the lights in my bathroom, and I just take a shower, and I'm like, oh yes, like let me touch. I'm a person actually having a real experience in this world, and I just need to like come back to myself. So for me, sometimes it's a bath or a shower. But don't you feel that sometimes as a working mom, you're just like, you kind of forget you're a human being.
Yes.
You're like on autopilot.
Yes. We talked about that as we noted that we're dressed like twins, which we
Yes.
should call that out.
I know, we really should.
We saw each other outside and we were like, wow.
Why are we wearing the same exact outfit?
Yes.
But yeah, like, how can we find ways to just tap into our own self-intimacy?
Yes. I'm very big on frameworks. Again, even I love that you actually gave me a new aha today because I never really made that connection between my early sex life and then my actual partnered sex life and how different they were. Like I had a very successful early sex life, a very unsuccessful partnered life because I didn't know how to marry the two. And sometimes frameworks, stat studies, academia provide us with the confidence to say, no, I'm not crazy.
Right.
I don't have to force myself to be different. So when it comes to sexual response cycle, the traditional model that's been followed, you get turned on, you start to feel good, you have an orgasm, sex ends. And so that's actually Masters and Johnson's model. And so it starts off with arousal, plateau, orgasm, refractory. And so many people think that that's what sex has to be. I have to get turned on and then get started. There's another model that came into play. It's called Basson's sexual response cycle. And it's 3 stages before you even get to thinking about sex. So step 1 is neutrality. So what you just described. How do I take all this shit off?
Yeah.
The stress from the day,
Yes.
the poop from the baby, the bad call that I had with my mom, whatever it is. I need to get to a place of just genuine neutrality. Not even with the goal necessarily of sex, just with the goal of feeling like I can actually respond to the world
Yes.
versus constantly having to react to the world. So neutrality is one. And then number two is stimuli, which means, okay, once I'm at a neutral place, I now need something to pique my interest. And I have something called turn on triggers.
I just have to pause here because I'm realizing how few women even get to the space of neutrality before. And I'm going to talk about like cis het relationships, the traditional, but so many men I find are ready to just jump into sex, not realizing that women are not, we're not even in the neutrality space. We're thinking of a million things. We're not in this open, accepting. So you kind of have to work to get to that place first.
And you have to know what your individual
Right.
practice is.
Right.
Like I love that you know what your practice
Yes.
is. Like for me, I need an audiobook and to clean.
Okay, that's what brings you there.
Yeah, like
is it a spicy audiobook or
No,
you're
it's
okay?
really not. It's
You're
probably
listening-
something academic.
Yeah, I was gonna say listening to like an academic thing.
I wish I
with
could get
rubber
into
gloves
erotic.
on.
It's just not my.
So let me tell you, I have recently become obsessed with this app called Quinn. Do you know about Quinn?
Of course, I know about Quinn.
I'm obsessed with the stories. I'm like really
Oh,
into it. And I
yay.
didn't think I would be into it. I'm really into it.
Yay! Are
Yes.
they a sponsor of your pod?
No,
That's great.
I haven't really done
They
any.
need to.
Listen, I haven't. This is, and sorry for my longtime listeners. It's like the first time even talking about anything even remotely connected to sex. So it just hasn't been on. It hasn't been a thing. But I do like Quinn.
So knowing your place,
Yeah.
your neutrality practice is important, and also being in a relationship that even offers you that space, like an acknowledgement that there's no possible way you could go from mom mode to porn mode within seconds.
At all.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think that's a big fault in long-term relationships too, is that a lot of sexual initiation starts when we're lying down. It needs to start long before we even get to that place.
Yes.
And so again, the model is neutrality, then stimuli, which means once I'm in a neutral space, my interest needs to be piqued. And so turn on triggers is a way that acknowledges that different people have different ways that kind of gets them thinking along those lines. Some people, it's what I call chore play, where that means they require for their partner to close some of their tabs, help out, do something, lighten my load so that I can downshift into a state of calm and connect where arousal is even possible for me. Not that it's going to happen. So
Right.
when I talked about this, and then a lot of men in my comments were like, somebody send this memo to my wife. I'm like, she
Oh,
is not
God.
obligated to give you sex because you filled up the car with some gas
Crazy.
or because you wiped on the counter.
Yeah.
That just says at least now it's even possible for her. So neutrality, stimuli, something that your partner does. Maybe for me, language is really important. Like if my partner specifically comments on how I'm turning them on, not just on how they're horny, but like seeing me in
Yeah.
this dress, seeing
Yes,
the way
yes.
of this. Like I want to take that and pop, that I need that. Some people need a great conversation with their partner, not sexual at all. Just feeling like, wow, we're actually connected here
Right.
to where we can get down there. And then after you've got stimuli, then desire. You need an opportunity for desire to have its own stage to build. And this becomes a really big fault, especially in long-term relationships, is we skip over desire and go directly to assumption. You know it. We're married or we've been together a long ass time. This is where this is going to go. The fun of sex in the beginning of anything is that there's something that I call erotic ambiguity, which is this stretch of time where we both know we want to have sex, but we're not sure if it's going to happen.
Right. Which in long-term relationships, that's erased.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
But that's like kind of some of the fun,
Right.
you know?
So how do you bring that back in?
You have to acknowledge that you need it. Like just because we have a moment, don't jump right away. Give us a second, let it build.
Yeah.
Make me want it a little bit more. Maybe we have step one neutrality at 6 p.m. Stimuli comes at 7 p.m. And then from 7 p.m. until 9, we're just building desire.
Right.
Little moments with the kids. Sometimes me and Jared do that where it's like, we'll just be like making out intensely at the fridge. And the kid will walk in like, oh, sorry, nothing. Like we're back to being in high school trying to find our moments. Like maybe it's not 2 hours, maybe it's 10 minutes, but something and this is also part of the response cycle. Your lips need to become engorged. Your nipples have to become erect. Your breath has to shorten. Your pupils have to dilate. Your vaginal canal goes from being 4 inches long to up to 8 inches long.
Oh, wow.
And if it's not, that can be extremely painful because very few people have 4-inch penis partners. So if we don't get that space for desire, for arousal to build, when we do actually engage, it can be painful rather than pleasurable. And then step 4 after that, after we've done all this, now we can touch.
Right.
You know?
It takes some time to build up to that. We're going to talk about beauty because, of course, this is a beauty podcast. And I do think that the way that you take care of yourself does a lot for the way you enter and show up into sex, or even just, again, self-intimacy. So I want to hear from you. What are like the little touches in terms of body care, fragrance that you do to get you into that mental space?
Yes, I wish that I did this more. I think, again, as like a mom, there is sort of this non-stopness to life.
Yes.
And then I've made allowances along the way. I'm also so grateful to have a very allowing partner whom just is never, to the point of like when we got married, I was like, let's do our photos in advance, because he does not have any type of, he doesn't treat me any differently regardless of how I look,
Right.
good or bad.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's annoying for the good.
Right. Because you're like, do you not see how incredible I look right now?
I used to do wedding photography when I went to journalism school. So that's how I paid my way through school. And you do the shot where you're like getting the bride come down the aisle, and then fast forward, you have to go to catch the groom's expression.
Yes.
And I'm like, I know that's not, Jared's going to be giving nothing. He's not going to be giving tears. He's not going to be giving like, oh my God. He's going to be like,
Right.
there she is.
Right.
And so I get that even if I'm like hairy and spiky and crusty and everything.
To go back to your point about Jared being the first person that taught you like what it truly means to be loved, I find that it's been really interesting for me to become a parent and to realize what true love is in terms of like, there is no expectation. You don't have to perform. Like, I look at my kids in the morning, hair not done. They could have spilled milk all over the floor. I still love and adore you so much, independent of anything that you do or how you look. And that's what true love is. So he loves you like you love your kids, you know?
Yes.
You don't love your kids more if they have on a cute dress.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, 100%. That is so true. I also battle with that with my kids a bit. Not with the dress thing per se, but like love is to witness and to let somebody be and let them be enough as they are. But as a parent, it's also my job to like shape you. And then how you present is a reflection of how I take care of you. So sometimes that's a challenge for me when my kids want to dress absolutely nuts or like not brush their hair. And I'm like trying to separate myself from you because you're you, but then also acknowledging that society has us so tightly linked. So
yes,
that is, I mean, even to that point, I didn't grow up learning to love that way. I didn't love myself that way. I think that that is not something that has been ingrained in me. It's something that I'm learning to do. And I have to remind myself that as a parent, that's also part of my responsibility. And that is the purest form of love. And I do want to give that to them while also kind of figuring out what's that, you know?
Yes. No, I understand. So you're in the bedroom, you know that you're going to have, or it doesn't have to be in the bedroom, it can be anywhere, but you know that you want to feel your best. What are the small little things that you do to enter that mode?
So for me, it's probably one, like I said, getting to neutrality.
Yeah.
2, it's like I know what particular shorts that I would wear to like get a comment on my ass. And so is
taking a shower and like being, I'm putting in quotes for people listening to audio, clean, important to you?
No.
Okay. And it's not important to your partner?
It's probably more important to him than it is to me, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure more important to him than it is to me.
Oh, see, my husband and I are the opposite. He like does not. I'm like I'm quite literally dripping in sweat. Can like I just have a moment? And he's like, it's fine. Like, come here.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, please. Like, I just need to shower, please.
Yeah. No, I'm that. I don't.
You don't care.
I don't care.
Take me as I am.
Take me as I am. I'll take you as you are.
Right.
Pheromones, I love it.
Sweat,
I want all of that.
Give it to me. Yeah.
It just adds a layer of intimacy to me. But for him, he feels differently.
Okay.
So he likes to be clean. Yeah.
Okay.
But then he'll be resisting. He'll be like, no, I haven't showered. But then like still let me do my thing. So I'm like, you're just trying to make it so there's a little bit of tension here. But
yeah. Okay, so you have your shorts.
I have my
make
shorts.
Your ass look really good.
Yes. I might dance in the mirror before. Okay. If I plan on doing a scene or something fun, I might like pull out the things that I actually want to play with in that moment. And then it's just really like a lot of mental play. Like fantasy is really big for me. Like, how do I get myself to that space where I am throbbing or I am turned on? And then I love to get turned on standing up. So even with my partner, like engaging with him before while we're still upright, so that again that tension is building before we even get there.
Okay.
For me, great sex takes minimum 8 hours. But like I said, I'm starting at neutrality.
Who has the time? No, I hear
You know what I'm
I hear
saying?
you, I hear
Like
you.
the intention is set. And that's even when people talk about scheduling sex, I don't like that language because it insinuates calendars and representatives and assistants. What we're talking about is intention setting, where I wake up in the day and I'm like, I cannot let this day finish without having your body. I can't.
Yes, love that.
Like when everything is
Yeah.
done, I'm coming for you.
Yes.
Oh, the intention is set. And now I'm moving throughout the day knowing that this is coming and my body is getting ready. And so maybe the sex itself lasts 12 minutes, but the lead up to it, you know, that can be that long, lengthy, juicy amount of time.
Yes. Okay. I love that. I love that. So I've been with my husband. We've been married for 10 years. How long have you and
What'd
Jared
you guys
been
do
together?
for 10?
We went to Ibiza together. Our first trip without children since they've been born, and we have a 5-year-old. So we lived like we were, I don't know, kids again. We slept until 2 p.m. We were at the club until 3 a.m. We ate when we wanted to eat. We just like hung out. It was the best. I mean, it was like, you know, but we were like, we can't let our 10-year anniversary pass without doing something that's like just for us. Have you guys done like a just for you two trip?
Yes.
That's not a work trip, because that's the other
Yes.
thing. Like okay, isn't it the best?
It's the best.
You're like, oh, like you're so fun to hang out with.
I know.
Like, you're my person. Like this is so fun.
You know what's so funny? Because some moms talk about like, but you miss your kids by like day 3.
No, we
I
didn't.
forgot I was even a mom.
What kids?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
it's like my body just reset. And I'm like,
Reset.
it just,
Yeah.
like, my mom would call me because she'd be watching them. And I'd be like, oh, yeah. I'm like, what's up?
Exactly.
Ryu, is it?
But I was, you know, my mom, who my kids call Mimi, like I knew that she was there. She was taking good care of. Like I knew
Yes.
they were in a safe hand. I
Yes.
wasn't worried about them. I knew they were in good hands, and we just enjoyed.
How was the sex?
It's great. Oh yeah, it's great. And no timer, because sometimes it's like it's late at night. We've got to get up early, or it's in the morning, and I've got to go run it. Vacation is just like a whole new ball game.
Yes.
So nice.
I've talked to a lot of long-term couples who talk about that, like, listen, it's just vacation sex. Everything else is maintenance. But the only time that I'm really getting to experience it and enjoy it the way that I would want to is going to be on vacation. I mean, hopefully, I wouldn't say that's my reality, but I understand that sentiment, of course. And it's definitely so much easier without all of the other things combined. And then, of course, too, like Esther Perel, who's a famous sex therapist, says that many women only get turned on when they themselves feel turned on by their own bodies.
Yes.
And like that takes that preparation, that time for yourself, that moment, that pause, that neutrality. So that's often not possible when your schedule is packed from morning to night.
So how do we get vacation sex in our regular Monday through Friday lives?
Yeah, I think it's intention setting.
Yeah.
Of like we start at the top of the day.
Yeah.
And then we have to. It's like you ever try to build a fire before in the elements?
Mm-hmm.
You know, once you get that little spark,
Right.
it's on.
Right.
We have to be on and fanning that flame and cooperatively working together to build this up into this like ravenous fire. And so when you experience even those moments, like you do experience spontaneous desire for your partner in long-term relationships. Just often spontaneous desire doesn't come at convenient times. It could be that your partner just like said something while you guys were washing the dishes, or you're out at a play date or something that you're like, oh, but you don't have the opportunity to like jump on them.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just seeing each other during times where you've allotted for romance, like when you're first dating, if you experience that spark, you can move on it. I was chatting with this couple and they said like their first passionate makeout happened during a sad story. And she was like, I just had the feeling. I knew it wasn't the right timing, but I had it. And you guys have the window, so you take it. In long-term relationships, it's not that you're not getting those feelings. It's they're not coming at the precise time that you have scheduled to move forward. But if you do feel it, you're like, we got this moment. Let's keep fanning this flame.
Yes.
Texts, eye contact, secret whispers, chore play, deep conversations, looking at that person, telling them like, I'm going to put the kids to bed. I need you to go shower and get yourself ready
Right.
for whatever the night's going to come. Great. Like you understand what I need. I know what you need. We're cooperatively working together to take that moment that we have and then give it the space that we have available.
Yes. Okay. this is a big question, and I'm so curious your response. Is mismatched libido a fixable problem?
I don't know if it's fixable in the exact moment, but it's also inevitable.
Well, but there can be extremes, right? In terms of some people are extremely high sex needs, like they truly feel like they need it very frequently. And some people can be at the very opposite end, extremely low sex needs. When you're either the low or the high needs person and your partner's on the other end, is that something that you think can be resolved or?
If the F word is involved for either person,
Okay, what is the F word?
frustrating.
Okay.
If you are personally frustrated with your high sex drive and want to figure out, why do I go to sex so often? Like, why is that my go-to coping mechanism?
Interesting.
If you're frustrated with the low libido and you're like, damn, like I want to do this, I just don't know why it's not coming to my body. If you are frustrated, then it's fixable. If you are not frustrated,
Right. You're like, because some people I think are fine. Like, I'm fine if we never had sex again.
right, yeah. And then if you're not
Then that's
fine with
not,
that,
yeah, then that's not really fixable, right?
right, because I mean, you have to want to move towards the same goal together. So if you
Right.
want to move towards the same goal together, absolutely, it's something that you can manage. But I just also want to note, it's the number one question that I get asked, and I get asked it for a reason because everybody will experience it, and it's good to experience it so you have the culture of figuring out what to do.
Right.
Like I never really experienced it until I was pregnant, and so
Were you high sex? Like, did you have high libido when you were
yes,
pregnant?
no, low.
Low. Okay. Because, some people get extremely high libido while pregnant.
It was my second pregnancy.
Yeah.
Insanely low.
Yeah.
But that was also because I was already a mom.
Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't
yeah.
feel good. I'm already a mom. I'm feeling like a bad mom
Right.
because I can't show up for my kid the way that I want to. I'm working. It was just like too many demands on me. It was just the last thing that I wanted. And so that was challenging because so much of our relationship culture, of our DNA was we have high sex drive. We have great sex. I'm a sex expert. You're a sex guy, a sex positive guy. Like, and all of a sudden, when that is not there, it can feel like a bit of a relational crisis rather than a relational norm. So it was a good thing for us to go through it at that time. And luckily, I have the tools because I have been talking about this topic for a long time. But I'm almost like, yeah, it's nothing wrong with getting into a relationship where you have mismatched libidos because at least you start to figure out what
Right.
you guys do because it's going to come again.
Yes.
They're going to lose their job and go through depression.
Exactly.
They're going to start a new antidepressant. They're going to have a spike in their blood sugar. Their parent's going to die. You're going to have a baby in menopause and perimenopause.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen at some point.
That's so true. That's so true. What conversation should couples be having somewhat early on that they're not having?
About sex or just like love?
About sex.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I think in general, like, yeah, what is your turn on trigger? Like, it's really important. Just not expecting, because when we first got together, maybe we didn't have to talk about how do we set the mood.
Yeah.
The mood was just already there for us.
Right.
It's like, what actually do you need to feel turned on and to open up? Because, yeah, knowing that your partner needs a great conversation and knowing that you need a shower first allows you guys to negotiate that
Yeah.
difference as well.
Yeah.
I think frequent conversations around what are you into? There's so many different amazing kink surveys online, and like it's a yes, no, maybe. And doing that with your partner, you'd be like, I did not think.
What are these surveys? Is this also at ohmygodyes.com?
Well, it'll be like if you just look up like any kind of like kink checklist,
Okay.
Afrosexology, they may have some really great ones that I've used in the past, but it's always a great education because you're like, what? I did not think that you liked that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Pleasure mapping with your partner is really important, where it's just like a session where I'm like, oh, let me see your hand. Do you mind?
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm like, oh, do you like this or do you like this?
Ah, okay. So like figuring
Do you
out what
like
type
that?
of touch.
Yeah, exactly. Or do you like that? What do you like?
Yeah.
And then you're just doing that all over. Relearning. I figured out. I've been with Jared for 10 years, and we've been married for 8. But I was giving him head maybe like, I don't know, a year ago, and I'm like, just act like this is my first time ever giving head. Your first time ever getting it from me. Let's just start from the beginning. Like, walk me through. Like, teach me how you like it. The thing that he told me to do was so far away from my usual routine. I was like, damn, I've been missing the mark, but he's still orgasming. So just
Right.
because your partner's body is responding or they're orgasming, it doesn't mean that they're actually getting
Right.
there the way that they like.
Yes.
So just being basic piece of advice here is like, be a tourist, not a tour guide. Even when you've been to that country 70,000
Right.
times,
Right.
there are still things that's still changing. It's evolved since the last time you've been there. Continue
Yes.
to be a tourist.
Don't assume that you know. Now, what about getting back to a point of intimacy after distance or resentment? That's the hard thing for when you've been with someone for so long. It's sometimes there's been like some distance between you all,
Yes.
or like you resent that person for something. How do you kind of like get back to intimacy after a period like that?
When resentment goes from resentment to an acknowledged incompatibility, you can start to repair. So that's the first step too. Resentment is unresolved grief for grievances. So when I have something that's just not been resolved and it's building for me, whether that be quietly or it's been vocally, but we've actually never come up with a solution that we can say, okay, we can acknowledge that there's a difference here. Now, once that acknowledgement is made, now what? So we know that I have a need that you can't provide or vice versa. What do we do with this gap? Now, you can feel good about that if that incompatibility is then turned into a compromise or there's an action plan for it. If that doesn't happen, expecting for your libido to be turned on, because
Right.
for many people, one of my most famous episodes is with Cree Summer. And Cree's message was, I realized how important my sense of safety was tied to my libido. If I don't feel sure in the relationship, or if I don't feel sure about our life, like if you're expressing a lot of uncertainty about tomorrow or what's going to happen or how are we going to pay our bills, like I just can't get turned on. And that's actually physiologically explainable, right? Like if you're in fight or flight, you're not going to downshift
Right.
into arousal. Similarly, like if you've ever spoken to somebody before who has an eating disorder, there's no desire at all because your body, in essence, says, this is not a safe environment for me to procreate. So why would I have sex?
Right.
So if you don't feel safe within your relationship, whether that be emotionally, financially, then it's going to be very difficult for your libido to kick in. So that, I think, in many ways has to be addressed first. We have to acknowledge incompatibility, figure out what our path is to the compromise, agree on what the compromise is. And even just that, sometimes even just working toward, like we all know this, we can have a goal of like, I want to gain 10 inches on my ass, lofty goal. Once you gain one, you start feeling like Meg the Stallion.
Right.
Like you think
Yeah.
10 is such a big goal, or we have this big, huge gulf between us. Like, how are we ever going to get there together? Once we acknowledge that gulf and we're like, okay, we're trying to get to here, here's how we're going to do it. When you start to see your partner make steps on that action plan, you're already going to be like,
True.
like that is hot as fuck. So sometimes again, like just even dealing with that first, moving towards somewhere positive first, you'll be surprised how your body responds. But don't expect your body to respond certainly in an uncertain relationship.
That's so true. Sometimes you're just not with the right person. And
Then there's that.
right.
Then there's that.
Right. Okay. I'm going to ask you about some instant sex and intimacy upgrades. So we'll do a lightning round. What's one small thing that couples can do tonight that instantly improves intimacy?
Oh, I would say go with sense play, like sensory deprivation. In Aria, for example, everybody gets the first kit first, and people love it, which is just like a massage candle, and which encourages you to put the lights down low because you now have a candle. And then it offers this thing called a pinwheel, which the game that we just played with hands, it's like a spiky wheel. You can use to tickle, you can use to cause pain, you can use to scratch, you can use to combine during different sensations. So, and you can do this with household items, right? Like a tie, for example, turning down the lights, switching your position on the bed. The brain is so basic. Like we require new, that the human brain requires novelty. It requires something to refresh it. But sometimes it's just adding a little bit of extra paprika. You're like, new dish.
Right.
Like it doesn't have to be anything major. So I would just think about identifying your comfort zone, taking one small step outside of it. You don't have to leap or do anything drastic. But like I said, sense play is usually one that's universally people find like, wow, our bodies responded to this in
Yes.
ways I wouldn't expect.
Okay. I love it. Most underrated form of foreplay that people overlook?
Oh man. I just probably say like verbal, like but the hours before verbal.
Hours before.
Foreplay is anything that you do that prepares your body for stimulation. anything that you do that stimulates you to the point of orgasm is core play. So I want to say that to make that clear, because if you get off from oral sex, that's not foreplay, that's core play. So you need something else before that.
Right.
So acknowledging like, what is core play? What is foreplay? And then foreplay can take hours. Like in the Kama Sutra, foreplay was every good lover used to have a easel by their windowsill because they'd be painting their lover before.
Wow.
And like, that's foreplay. Like
That's
I'm
beautiful.
looking at your body naked. It's kissing games. It's perfuming games. It's massaging each other. It's bathing each other. Like that's what foreplay should be. It shouldn't be like sucking on somebody's nipples. Like it can be a part of it, but like that should be like step 7 versus like, it's time to have sex. Let's do foreplay.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden I'm just rubbing on very sensitive areas really rigorously.
Right. One thing to do if you find yourself in your head during sex.
Ooh, let me think about that for myself. What do I do? And I want you to answer this question too.
Okay.
If you find yourself, usually I have to shift.
Yeah.
Literal sex tip that blew my mind that I just came across really recently. We were having sex and we're doing our thing, and Jared's about to do something to me. He pauses before he does it. And he's like, how can I make you more comfortable? And at first I was like, no, I'm fine. Just go on. And then I'm like, no, think about it. I was like, the sheet is kind of bunched up under my back. And that light is a little bit too hot for me. Can we turn that down?
Yeah.
And I actually want the pillow like here under my head. And on the topic of pillows, put a pillow under my butt so I'm a little bit hoisted up. And like that question, like, what can I do to make you more comfortable?
I love that.
Was such a good moment to snap into your body and ask yourself that question. So if you find yourself in your head, it's probably because your body actually is just going through the motions. Like, check in with your body.
Yeah. Well, connected to that, how to make people stop worrying about how they look, because a lot of people are like, I need the lights off, or they're in their head about unflattering angles or how they look. How do you get people to stop thinking that way?
Verbal affirmation. I think.
Yeah.
Like, I need to hear it from you. It should be very normal to tell someone like, you smell amazing, you taste amazing,
You look amazing.
God, you look amazing, I love you, I love this part of you, I love that part of you, like, or just keep the lights off. But I think expecting people to like have this audacious self-confidence that's not backed by evidence, especially by those who are most closely intimate to us, is just unfair. So it's like, it shouldn't be a solo sport. Confidence should not be a solo sport. So yeah, your partner should be getting involved.
What do you think is the most underrated sexy trait that someone can have?
I definitely say a learner's mentality.
Yeah.
That's even why I like box. Sometimes people are like, you don't have sexual compatibility in the beginning. It's never going to happen. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if you do it all wrong. I don't care if you do anything all wrong. If you like to learn, let's go.
Yeah.
You like to listen. And that, to me, like, that trait will serve you through the various phases of life. You don't have to come prepackaged. And in many cases, it's great that if you don't, because now we create this culture of learning from each other, of you trusting my expertise and me trusting yours in return. So I think a learner's mindset. People put too much emphasis on mind readers.
Right.
Everybody wants to date Houdini. Just guess.
Right.
Like, if you can't guess what I like, if you can't guess what turns me on, but great, guess what? Next month it's going to change. Need them to guess right again? Wouldn't it be great just to have somebody who asks? That's going to serve you throughout the various stages of your life. And this is 2 women sitting up here, been married with one person for a long time. The things you liked in the beginning.
Right. It changes. It evolves.
Right.
Yeah.
So what? He guessed right back then. And that became the thing for your relationship. They just knew what worked. And then something shifted in you. And maybe they didn't just know immediately. And it felt very strange to say, what you're doing is not working, because we've built our whole relationship off of this concept that we just know each other magically. Fuck that.
A learner's mentality is very important.
Yeah.
Well, I'm ready to learn. You said you studied Kama Sutra. I'm ready to learn some positions from you.
Yay.
I'm gonna come over to your couch, and I want to hear kind of just different.
Are we gonna have sex, Brooke?
Listen, you're gonna show me the way, because I feel like, yeah, you kind of have your menu, your safe menu, and I haven't studied the way you've studied, so I'm like, show me the way. I'm gonna come over to you.
Yes, I'll show you my favorite position.
Okay.
Something that I call Feet up, hands down.
Okay, I'm like,
Okay. Your partner, so you'll be on like most people self-pleasure on their back, legs in the air. I usually self-pleasure, feet in the air, and then my hands down here.
Okay.
And so why I like that position is because penetration plus clitoral is very good for me. So when I'm doing feet down, hands up, my partner's actually in a T. So he's laying sideways, so the penetration is happening here. But this is important because sometimes when you try to do outer clitoral stimulation and then you have a partner, they're interrupting what you're doing. It's knocking against you, and so you can't really get into your rhythm. This position, so again, you'll be like, let's just do it like this, maybe here,
Okay,
and
where
partner.
am I?
You're like,
I'm under.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm like this.
Yes.
Okay.
And you'll be laying on your side usually because it's a bed.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So then you're thrusting like that, and then I have full range, and you're also thrusting up. This is so fun. You're also thrusting up towards the anterior wall, which is where all of the A spot and the G spot is. So that's my fave position.
Okay. Any other positions?
You talked about the melting hug.
Well, yes, I love that. That's like to show intimacy.
Yeah.
To show you the melt hug.
Yes.
I'm like, are we allowed to put our feet on the? Thing is that we're wearing these dresses.
I know,
so
right?
I can't. You know what?
Mine stretches.
Okay, let's try. Do you want to be under? I'll be over.
Okay.
So I'm gonna you move here, move your butt forward. Perfect. Face this way. Amazing. I'm gonna come over.
I love
like
this is your first sex podcast, and this is where we're going because this is a
we're
first for
getting into
me.
it. We're getting into it. Okay, so I'm gonna put my legs over, then you put your legs under.
Okay.
And then we just hug like this.
Yes. Okay. Can I go up and up?
Yeah.
You go down and down. Mm-hmm.
See, and then you can rock back and forth.
And I can thrust.
Yes. But you can also do this non-sexual as just like let's just like reconnect and like hug at the end of the day, and like feel each other's bodies, and then let intimacy build that way.
Yes, so, I love that.
Yes, it's called the melt hug.
It's melt hug. It's also called yab yum or
yab yum. Okay, yes. What does yab yum mean?
Same thing. It's usually it can be a solo position that you do in. I'm actually very turned on right now.
The melt hug is really nice.
I'm not having cognitive clarity right now. The brain has left the building. But 5 string is also another way of calling it, where you're using like you think about like your arms and then your legs and then your head. So it's like complete coverage around somebody, and then also really great for whispering in someone's ear if you like erotic talking.
Ooh, yes. Sometimes I feel like my ears can almost be like too sensitive. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like you almost don't realize how sensitive your ears are until that like comes into play.
Until you're you, because that's not my story.
Yeah. So you like ear play.
You could yank on these. Like, yeah, I love being whispered in my ear, but I also too, because like I've read somewhere in a Cosmo magazine very early on that like men have lots of nerve endings in their ear, and men do have lots of hormones in their ear. That's why when they get old, their ears grow, so they get hair out of them. So I was like, oh, men's ears is an erogenous zone. So I used to be like nibbling on that, chewing on it, tugging on it, and then Jared was like, what is that? Are you a puppy? And I was like, what do you mean? Men like this. He's like, I'm a man and I don't. So.
I feel like Cosmo had some really unhinged advice. They were like telling you to like give a blowjob with ice cubes in your mouth, and then go to hot, drink a hot tea, and then ice cubes, and go cold, hot, cold. Like we would just read this absolutely unhinged sex advice as teenagers and just be like, yep, this is how you do it.
Yeah. Which I think that could work for some people. But it's also like, it's what we talked about before.
Yes.
When your job is to try to provide novelty and get attention, you have to go more extreme. But oftentimes the basics will be just fine. And mastering the basics is an overlooked skill set.
What do you consider the basics?
The sexual response cycle we talked about.
Yeah.
Neutrality, stimulus, building desire, and then knowing the difference between foreplay and core play for your partner. Also, too, let's talk about aftercare. That's part of sex.
Yes.
What do we do after? In terms of how your brain registers an experience, it remembers the peak and the ending.
Interesting.
So you're going to remember the height of something and how it closed. So even if we had amazing sex, if it ended with you like getting up and going to the room and going on your phone instantly, we didn't have any kind of conversation. Maybe I require that. Maybe I wanted to cry, but I felt like it wasn't a safe space. Even then, the experience is not going to feel good for me. So the refractory period or aftercare is a part of the basics too.
Yes. I think the other thing is just this awareness that having an orgasm doesn't make sex successful or not. right? I think that's like a really big thing because sometimes it's not going to happen, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't a good sexual experience.
Yes. Yes. And the flip side too. Sometimes it does happen
And
and
that
it doesn't
doesn't,
mean that it was a
right,
great experience either.
right.
I mean, it helps. It's the peak of it, potentially. But yeah, when you ask most people about their best sexual experience, then you ask them about their best orgasm, it's usually not the same story.
What was your best sexual experience?
Oh my gosh, let me really think about that. I can easily just go really recently, actually. Probably the like, how can I make you more comfortable night? It was just really long and good. And it made it, I don't want to say why it was good because that's inappropriate. But it,
This is, if ever there was a
well,
time, this
no,
is
it's
the time.
just because it was like the kids were home. So it was the fact that we were able to figure out that time while they
Yes.
were there and like that, and then really feel free in that moment. I think all of that kind of aided in like, wow, we're so close together. So it was just like really cool for that reason. My best orgasm was definitely on vacation. Which even I don't even know if that's true because like I be having different kinds of orgasms all the time. It's the same orgasm, but just like expresses in different ways. But there was one time on vacation that I was like, oh, I definitely like woke up some roosters and whoever else was in a 5 mile radius. It just felt like such a great bodily release.
Yes. I think again, it's that neutrality. It's like getting into that neutral state is like the really big unlock that allows you to enjoy this time with your partner. Now, again, we're both moms. The postpartum period, which I'm like, my daughter's 15 months. I'm like, I'm still postpartum.
Yes.
I feel like I'm like
You still have a baby.
I still have a baby.
Yeah.
Right? How did that experience change your relationship with your body and therefore your relationship with intimacy?
Can I ask you this question? Were you surprised about your postpartum body in a pleasant way or unpleasant way or somewhere in the middle?
I loved having fuller breasts. I didn't mind the extra weight. I had this sense of, wow, my body's so powerful. I like carried a baby. I'm feeding the baby literally from my body. So I think I had this real sense of empowerment from the experience. But I also think that, especially the first time, I was not prepared for looking in the mirror and feeling. It was the first time I looked in the mirror and felt like, oh, I feel so unattractive. Like I look so tired. I feel like I have all of this loose skin that I didn't have before. I did not feel beautiful postpartum. The second time, knowing what it was, I was just sort of like, no, things are going to kind of slowly go back into place. I'm not like a fast snapback, like it's taken some time. But I definitely do think that the first time it was like, wow, this is giving me a hard emotional hit in terms of reckoning with what I'm seeing in the mirror.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you went through that. Just
Yeah.
especially knowing that there are so many women who share in your experience. So I hope that you had someone that you could turn to and you
Oh, yeah.
didn't feel alone in that at all. I think it's important to know. I mean, you look absolutely sensational.
Thank
That's
you.
why I was
Thank you.
asking too, just because I'm like, this for me was something that I am happy to share because there are various experiences out there and there's no one two alike, but my body got better in every way.
I love that
Like,
for you.
and also too, like in terms of my pleasure potential, all of my best orgasms, best sexual experiences, like spots that didn't really give before are now giving. I never squirted until I had kids. Like all of these things just didn't, I don't know, my body just like came into itself, pun intended, after having kids. So I think that that was a uniquely gifted journey that I personally had.
That's amazing. Do you feel like your skin got better? That's something I hear from people, that skin issues clear up.
During pregnancy, for sure.
During pregnancy,
I had
yeah.
acne my entire life, adult acne. As soon as I was trying to conceive, I went on these pills, cleared up my skin, haven't looked back since.
You do have gorgeous skin, and
Oh my
I'm like,
gosh,
I
you
can't let you
flirt.
leave Naked Beauty without getting a little bit of your skincare routine. What are the
Yes!
products that you love? What are your go-tos on your your nighttime routine?
There's this vaginal salve or balm that's from Dr. Pouchet. And it's called the All Over Balm, but it's specifically supposed to be designed for sensitive enough for your
Interesting.
like labia minora, for your your inner lips. And I use that on my face. And so I feel like
Interesting.
because it's sensitive enough for that area and it's like very hydrating, it's made with shea butter. That's what my usual like go-to thing is. And then I got really bad melasma after pregnancy.
Very common.
My melasma is annoying as hell too, because I got a little mustache melasma. It was so stupid. Like it was like these like big ass things there. So I have to use like a lightening cream here. And then I used to get melasma here. But even that, like, it was very prominent, and then now it's starting to fade. Don't get me wrong. Now I'm getting new areas that are sparking up, but that became something I had to start considering in my skincare as well.
Do you have a good go-to sunscreen? Because that's really important for melasma.
Girl, I don't really. I know.
Oh my gosh.
I use this Fenty Beauty one that's like that got sent to me.
Okay.
So
The
it's
sun
not,
visor.
Yeah, I've just never. There's certain things in life that I know I'm just not doing well. One is hair products.
You have gorgeous hair.
Thank you.
What's the routine? You're like just,
Whatever's available. Like,
really? Okay.
it's not that things work,
right.
but I'm not sure if the 10-cent conditioner is any different than the $100 bottle. That to be said, I probably have to talk to you and get your tips.
Yes.
Because you're probably doing it better.
We're going to have a whole deep dive on all of the the Naked Beauty fragrance. Please feel free to put it on. I'm excited to get your feedback. You are someone that I really admire in terms of just creating this incredible.
This is so good.
Of the Naked Beauty fragrance.
This
You
is
love it.
so good.
It's unisex too. You have created such an incredible career. You help others. You live your life very out loud while also like being a mom and balancing all of the things. I'm so curious for you. When do you feel most beautiful?
Being with my kids, I guess, like seeing myself in context, being around them, like seeing myself in a photo with them, like that's probably it for me. Just like seeing the fullness of my life together. Like maybe not me in the mirror alone, but like when I see a picture of like what my body has done and what life I get to live, I feel like I feel it most beautiful.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I'm so inspired by this conversation. Thank you so much, Shan, for sharing all of your brilliance.
I
and
too
your
am
wisdom.
inspired.
Yes.
I'm very activated. It was a very good conversation.
Great
Thank
conversation. Yes, I have some instant upgrades that I'm going to add to my life. So again, thank you so much. And thank you all so much for joining us today.